Welcome back to Do It Myself Garage. As you can see, I've got the steering wheel out of the GTO. One of the spokes broke. I cracked it when I was getting it off of there the first time, and I bought new spokes now, and hopefully it'll work better. And I also want to go ahead and repair this steering wheel, put some epoxy or filler or something in these cracks. There's cracks on the outer arms, there's cracks on the inner piece. The metal is all in good shape. It just has the typical cracking, so let's see if we can't fix that. The spokes are held on by 3 screws in the center, and then there's 3 screws underneath on each one of the arms. And when you get those 3 out, then they fall off. I'm gonna have to wire in the new one, so I'm gonna leave my wire as long as possible here. This is the wire from the horn pickup. I'll show you in a second. So this horn pickup to the steering wheel, okay, and mine's in really good shape. You can see it's shiny all the way around, not wore out. There's plenty of length on the wires yet I can splice into. I might even use push-on connectors for that, so that I don't make them any shorter than I have to. We'll see, but for right now we're going to set him off to the side with the rest of the hardware. Okay, these are from Original Parts Group. And look, they have brand new buttons in them. So what I will do is I will probably sell these, because these 2 are actually in pretty good shape. Silly me, went ahead and painted them, but that's something someone couldn't strip off of there, or maybe repaint them again and reuse them. The only one that was broke was the 3rd spoke was broken off. So I will save those and maybe sell them. Alright, so none of the pieces on here appear to be loose. They're just cracked and separated. So I think I'm safe to use some Bondo filler of some sort and fill all this in. Alright, so I already started sanding this down. Just going to go through, scuff everything up so when I do paint it, that it'll stick. And then I'm also going to scuff up the areas where I'm going to be putting the filler, so it has a little bit extra stuff to grab on, I guess. So this can be the boring part, but it's got to be done. Go through and scuff this whole thing up, and then I can worry about mixing up some filler. I decided to go with some 2-stage Bondo. Hopefully that'll work. It's got fiberglass reinforcement. Figure that's kind of the closest thing to what this thing is made out of. I mean, I could use an epoxy, but that's really hard to get, you know, on an uneven surface like that where you don't have something flat for it to go down into. Epoxy would be pretty tough to do. I've done a lot of work with epoxy and had good luck, but yeah, kind of like concrete. It needs to be a fairly flat surface. Not trying to take anything off of here. I'm just trying to just get a little bit of a scuff to everything, so when I do paint it or dip it or whatever I decide to do, that it sticks. I was thinking about doing that hydro dipping, but I was looking at how expensive that is, and to buy like the patterns and stuff, and well, you kind of got to get it right the first time. It looked kind of spendy. Maybe if I've done something, maybe I'll try something a little less complicated than a steering wheel for my first time on the hydro dip. But I would like to try it. I think I'm going to try to start with the biggest one on this bottom piece here. Just for curiosity, to see if the stuff even works or is going to work for my purpose. I can't think of any other way to do it. I mean, again, epoxy is kind of nice because epoxy gives. Expands, doesn't mind the heat. But let's try this. Let's try this Bondo. All right, getting this all mixed up. Got the harder in here. I am definitely not a body man. So I've got most of the gaps filled. It's looking a little ugly. I found there's a crack here and another one over here that I didn't finish, but I'm gonna have to mix up a little bit more. Well, I will get to it. I want to let this dry. It's a little gummy right now. I'm just gonna let that dry for a couple hours. One of the batches that I made, I put way too much catalyst and it hardened in about 1 minute. This one I put considerably less, so it'll take a little longer to dry. It'll still harden because it has the catalyst in there. It'll just take longer. And obviously I need that extra time to work it, get it in. There's still some of it where it started to paste up on me. So it's actually fairly easy to sand down. Obviously be really careful sanding. You don't want to get too much dust. I'm not going to use a power sander. I'm just sanding by hand and then wiping stuff down as I go, so keeping the dust to a minimum. All right, so I've been working on this about half hour per day before work, a little bit here and there. I think I finally got the arms done. I've got most of the outside done. I'm going to wipe it down to kind of see where I'm at, see if I miss anything big, and then I know what areas to focus on. All right, just wiping this down real quick with some paper towels, with a little bit of Windex on here. Went around it already a bit. Just try to get a bunch of the junk off of here so I can see if I missed anything. Make sure I don't have putty in places that I can't have it. I know there's some spots that I missed. There's a big gap in here, but you won't see it when the spoke is on. There's some spots that I haven't done at all. This one here has got a big glob in it. I don't know how I ended up with that much on there. Maybe look at that big glob. All I was just trying to do is fill the crack and end up with stuff all the way out here. So that's all got to be sanded off. And then there's going to be some pinholes. So I have to get some glazing putty to fill that in. So little by little, it's coming along. All right, real quick update here. This thing is coming along really nice. I got all the major cracks filled in. I do have a few things like this where it's not quite smooth like I want it, but for the most part, it's looking great. So I think what I'll do is give her a few more touch-ups till I get it to where I want it. I'm not going for perfection here, but then we'll just paint her jet black, and I think we'll have a really nice steering wheel. All right, it's a couple days later. I completely forgot about this last time I did the filler. I don't know how I missed that. At any rate, I think that's going to be enough for this time around. All right, so I was wrong about this. Remember I said, well, I'd have to splice these wires? No, what you do is there's 4 tabs right here. I'm going to bend them up very carefully. And maybe I'll use my putty knife here. So bend these little tabs up. Whatever you got to do to get under there. Once those tabs are bent up, oh, looks like this one I could do a little better on. And this should just come right out here. All right. There we go. Now this piece will just push back out of here, or something like that. I thought that would come out. I guess I was wrong. All right, so I gave it a little bit more of a push with the wires, and it came out. So, see, I should be able to get the new one in here then. How's that gonna work? Because these are crimped in to the base. How am I gonna get this in here? Doesn't say that's that. I'm gonna have to splice this no matter what. Otherwise that's not gonna go in there right. These do not unbolt. These are riveted on here. Yeah, in order to get that proper, and I want to use a new piece because this is worn down. So I want to use this new piece in here, but it has to come in from this side because this piece is actually bigger. So there's no way to force that through there. You would damage it. This piece doesn't come off. So I'm gonna have to cut this and splice this. I don't have a choice. All right, so I decided to do the splice in this open area because that'll be open under the steering wheel also. And yeah, now this should just push through here. Push him. As soon as I turned the camera off, somehow I was able to get both of those started. And now they're pushing through. Right? As soon as you turn the camera off, isn't that how that works? But at least I showed you before I got it through there. So anyway, I'll pull it the rest of the way. I don't know how well it's going to work though, because this is supposed to have a little bit of spring to it. So we'll see when we get all done here if she has any spring. So yeah, you can see this old one always has a little bit of spring to it. The spring's a lot longer too. Can I take this spring off of here? Oh, I can. Let me add him to this one. I'm going to have to go play with this a little bit. Apparently this center piece, this piece just pushed right out. So I don't know what that was. But that was the part that was dragging. So now, oh, that was also the part that was my stop for the spring. Okay, well that's got to go back in there then. All right, so this was a 3/16 drill, and I just held it really carefully with the pliers. And then I drilled this out, like really not even drilling, just kind of cleaning it up. And that seemed to work really, really well. Now this went back on here. I'll have to glue it in place so it's, you know, the stop stays where it's supposed to be. It kind of pushes inside. If I hold it in place, it kind of stays. Hold it in place. I added the spring from the old one on here, and now she has a little bit of spring to it. I don't know, that might be too much actually. I might have too much spring now. Let me take out the spring that they gave me and just use the, well, let's try just the new spring. By the way, after I clean that out, look how easy that wire goes in there. Now, that's just not enough spring, boys and girls. So I'm going to put this old spring back in here that's longer. And only the old spring, because that's just too much with the old and the new one on top of each other. Okay. There we go. Now I got positive action. Much better. Okay, so I'm going to put just a little bit of glue on this. I love super glue gel, not a sponsor. I always get the gel. Seems like you have more control. Doesn't get everywhere. Sets pretty darn fast. So even with this piece out of here, if anybody's wondering, even with this piece out of here, I would have had to still splice these wires because the head of this is bigger than the hole, and you want that to stop there. So you do not want to drill this out so you could push that through all the way. That'd be a bad deal. But as of that sits right now, that's perfect. Let's go ahead and clean up the contact on the inside of this. A little bit of sandpaper. There's one that's been riding on the whole time. I think I'm just going to turn it and use one of the other ones. And you can use one of the other contacts for the next 50 years. Just need to have that one spot clean. The rest of it doesn't matter because the other contact is here on the outside. Alright, get this on here. There's the clean one. Push that back through here and bend those little tabs back down. There we go. Obviously be careful you don't damage this when you're doing it. It's just brass. Just bend those down, that just holds everything together. And ta-da, she's all together. Okay, so that's all back together. We've got a good contact under here. This contact on this side's real good. So that should make contact with the center of the steering wheel just fine. Now I've got to strip off these ends and make some connectors. Well, the rest of the wheel looking so nice was really bothering me. So I had it and filled in that crack and one little spot over here. I do have a nice coat of black paint on here. I did not end up with any runs. It was just the start of it. Turned out really nice, actually. Apologize for my messy bench. But it's looking nice, and if I'm going to do this, let's go ahead and do it right. I'm not going to be driving it anymore this weekend anyway. It's Father's Day, so happy Father's Day to everybody out there. But yeah, I've been working on this for the last week. I'm not going to get to drive it till next weekend anyway. And then I can putz with this during the week now and finish it up so it looks really, really good. All right, so I tried to patch this without stripping the paint off, or at least sanding it, and the putty didn't stick. So ended up sanding it down again, got the putty to stick. I believe I have it as smooth as I need it. I'm gonna go ahead and hit it with the steel wool, wipe it down, and then throw a primer coat on here. It is amazing when you do the primer coat how it'll show the imperfections. So be aware of that. It's pretty awesome when you put that primer coat on. The defects really pop out at you. All right, I think I may have finally got it to a satisfactory point. Do have one little spot over here where I fixed that really bad spot. I might have gotten a little bit too much paint on there. I'll wait till tomorrow when it dries. I might have to scuff that just a little bit, get rid of the paint bubbles, and then give it a final coat. And then I'm probably going to do a clear coat on this so it doesn't wear off. But that turned out so nice. I'm glad I spent the extra time to fill that big crack. You know, it's going to be, it would have been like right where I see it all the time, you know, right there. There's still a little bit of a hint of it, but man, it was really standing out before. So I am super happy with this. It's going to be another day. It'll be tomorrow before I get to assemble this. But then I think we're going to, well, I mean, 2 more days because I got to put clear coat on it. But I'm very, very happy with the way it turned out. All right, so I've got the repairs all done on the wheel. The clear coat didn't turn out as nice as I had hoped it would, but you know, it kind of is what it is. It is a steering wheel after all. But the repair part is done, so I'm going to use it for a while, see if it cracks. I can always work on it again this winter. It's been really humid lately, and I think that is why the clear coat isn't taking like it should. So let's get it back together so I can drive it this weekend. It's going to rain the next 3 days, but hopefully by Sunday it'll be nice out. So let's go ahead and get this reassembled. So I talked about doing the wiring earlier, and I haven't been able to do that because this piece actually goes under the steering wheel. Wires come up through this big hole and then come up to this. So they had that all wired, and this smaller insert piece did come in the kit. I noticed it later, but the bigger piece, there's no way to get that through there. So I'm not sure what the plan was there. If you're supposed to take, I don't know. To me, you almost have to cut the wire. You don't have a choice. So maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe yours is different. I don't know. Maybe there's a lot of things on this car that aren't original. So anyhow, this piece is here. It's all shiny. I tried it in the car, touched the wires together, and the horn works. So that part has continuity. Now I'm gonna put the spokes in, and then we'll get her back in the car. Show a couple of the intermediate steps here. So this just slides through here. I slid that part on there, wires through. Again, I don't know how you do it. That was all connected, and there's nothing on here that disconnects. This is riveted in, not screwed on. So I don't know what you would do. Again, maybe I missed something. I don't know. Okay, so that horn piece is plastic. It's 55 years old. I don't want to take any chances, so I'm setting it on a paint cap so that the whole weight of this isn't sitting on that plastic piece. But in the meantime, it is through the hole, and I can get this all hooked up without having to worry about that breaking that plastic piece. All right, so I did the first one just to see what I had going on. The little screw that's in here, you have to take out. It's not long enough to go through the steering wheel. I don't know what they were thinking. So use your original screw, or get a longer one. Otherwise, it won't bolt through the body on the wheel. All right, so I double checked the box for extra screws and stuff. I didn't see anything. I mentioned before this little guy was in the box, but again, I mean, so if yours is broke, you can use this, but that still doesn't allow you to get that contact through there without cutting the wires. So I'm not sure what the plan was there. I used the short screws that I took out of the horn button up here, the ones that won't reach. I used those 2 short ones to contact it to the bottom. You'll have to have one extra here because there's no screw in this other spoke, but there, she's all together. Let's put it in the car and see if the horn button works, and then we'll get her bolted into the car, and we'll be pretty much done. All right, so this is your chance to straighten out your steering wheel if it's not straight. Just push it on there. I made sure the plastic piece was lined up. Pushed it in there. It's all the way down. It doesn't. I don't have the bolt on here at all, but there's a little spring contactor in there. It's time to replace that if that's bad on yours. But watch this. So, it works perfectly. Literally all I have to do is put the bolt back on here and put the center cap on, and I am good to go. Alright, just time to put this guy back on here. How about I put him on right side up? doing this with one hand while filming. There we go. And yeah, that doesn't fit the best. Maybe I have to bend those prongs out a little bit. Yeah, I bent them out a bit. That fits a lot better now. That shouldn't rattle. I can go just a little bit tighter on the one. But there we go. What a beautiful steering wheel. Try to get you a better shot of it here. What a beautiful steering wheel. I'll put a link in the description to the spokes that I bought off of, I believe, OPGI. I don't know. I think they're worth the money. Let me step out here and get a different angle. All right, there's a better angle. Yeah, that is really sharp looking. That centerpiece came out pretty good. Everything. I'll see here when I go to start driving if I got it centered as well as I thought I did. All right, so that's it for the rebuild on the steering wheel on the GTO. Obviously, it's not a restoration. It's not perfect. I'm going to see how it holds up. If I have some problems, I can always take it back out easily and do some more work to it. The main repair, though, I really liked how the Bondo stuck and was hard. Be really careful with the putty. It doesn't like to be thick. It takes a lot longer time to dry, so if you're using that to fill pinholes and stuff like that, I'm sure body people are probably cringing at some of the stuff I did, but I got it done. It's something you can do yourself. The steering wheel was pretty solid. There weren't any loose pieces on there. If they were, you'd want to glue those or epoxy those in place maybe. But my steering wheel had just dried over time and cracked. And I've seen a lot of people said, hey, now that it's stable, you can repair those cracks. And I'm hoping this will hold up. We'll find out. We drive it in the summer here in the heat, taking it to car shows. We'll see if some of those cracks come back. If they do, I can do some more repair on it. It's a driver quality car. It is by no means, perfect. I did all the stuff to it myself. I try to do it as best I can so I can drive the car. But this is not a show car. It's not, the engine's not original or nothing like that. But I enjoy going to car shows, seeing people who've really put some work into their cars. But this is something I'm proud to drive. It's on the road. It's not sitting in a tree row somewhere rotting because someone wants to fix it perfect and do a frame off. This is not the candidate for a frame off restoration. It doesn't have the original engine, transmission, or any of that stuff. So trying to get it as good as I can so I can enjoy it and drive it for years. And then that way if it gets a scratch in it or something, it is what it is. I'll repair it and drive it again. So everybody, thank you so much for liking, subscribing, sharing the videos, the comments, everything. I imagine I'll have some comments on this one from people that have done this repair before. Be appreciated. Maybe some long-term suggestions on what to do. Maybe I'm going to have problems. Maybe it's going to crack all up. I don't know. This is kind of some of the stuff I saw people do online. I didn't go into it in real depth, so I thought, I'll give it a try. And it sure looks like looks good for right now. I wasn't super happy with the clear coat, but it has been really, really humid here. So we'll let it dry and soak in for a while. I can always give it another coat of clear coat later. All right, thanks everybody again. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.